Gauram Madhusware Namah Gauram Madhusware Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Grihe Tako Bane Tako Sharahari Bole Dako Grihe Tako Bane Tako Sharahari Bole Dako Suke Duke Bullo Nako Varane Hari Nam Gurure Suke Duke Bullo Nako Varane Hari Nam Gurure Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Maya Jalle Bhadda Hoye Ajamit Shekha Jaloye Maya Jalle Bhadda Hoye Ajamit Shekha Jaloye Ekono Chetanda Pe Radha Madhav Nam Bolure Ekono Chetanya Pe Radha Madhav Nam Bolure Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Jivana Hoelo Shesh Navajile Rishikesh Jivana Hoelo Shesh Navajile Rishikesh Bhakti Vinodo Pareshe Karna Rashe Mature Thakur Bhakti Vinod Upareshe Karna Rashe Mature Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Gai Gauram Madhusware Nam Madhusware Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hari Bo, Hari Bo. I go.
Is everybody facing the same situation as I am?
Yes.
Guru Maharaj, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, we'll just wait for him to come back. I'll call.
Ayam dadati swapadantikam adadana stridandanter idam yache puna puna shimam rupa padamboja dulisam janmid janmani Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namashrishtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atrasarupam Shri Rupam Tasya Grajam Urupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramoho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasa Pratitikupaya Shri Gurum Tannatosmi Hey Guru Gyanadadi Nabando Swananda Data Kodanaika Sindo Vrindavana Sina Hitavatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo Hey Dinabando Karuna Naika Sindo Kuru Prasadam Mai Mandamudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Stumatishcha Krishne Prata Shriman Navadvipesh Dvinetram Dvibhujan Gurum Varabhaya Pradam Shantam Smaretan Nama Purvakam Tvam Gopika Vishraraves Tanayanti Kesi Sevadikarani Guro Nijapada Padme Dasyam Pradaya Kurumam Vrajakanani Shri Rathangri Sevana Rase Sukhinim Sukabdao Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Palaprad Rajananda Pradhananda Sivayam Maniyojaya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shri Varshavanavi Devi Dayataya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjwala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktira Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gorakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambhode Parambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sakchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virvava Bhaumestam Nirdesa Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namani Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandamatirgati Matsarvaswa Padambo Jao Radha Manana Mohanao Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastao Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devao Prishtali Bhi Sevya Manu Smarani Shriman Rasa Rasaram Bhi Vangshi Vatatatastita Karshan Venu Swaner Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestuna 18 Thakur Goreyake Karyachina Atmasad 18 Era Charan Vandon Tine Murnat Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Abhikshnasha Yasam Harigato Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam Antaya Madhur Abala Haridasavaryo Yadrama Krishna Charanash Parasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayo Yat Paniya Suyavasakandana Kandamulai Vrindayai Tulsidevyai Priyayai Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Shri Nisringa Jai Nisringa Jai Jai Nisringa Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Srajamyaham Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkratam Dharmasam Stapanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mami Vaishyasi Yuktvavam Atmaram Parayanaha Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvang Sarvapapebhyo Mukshayishami Masuchaha Shushrusho Shradhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtana Shevanad Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantaksto Hibadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Nashta Praeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta Iteranavidham Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grantischijante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Eva Manishvare Malihai Karishe Bijarupan Shravana Kirtana Jali Kare Shechan Tahan vistarita hoy, pali prema pal, ihan mali sheche nitya shravanadi jal. Vairagya Vijanija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Budhir Yastamaham Prapadye Kalandashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijam Ja Pradush Kartum Krishna Chaitanya Nama Avirbhutas Tasya Padaravinde Gadham Gadham Liyatam Chitabringa Ajanulambita Bujau Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishvambaro Dvijavaro Yugatarma Palo Vande Jagapriyakaro Karunavataro Matsamo Nasti Papa Manaparadi Chakashchana Parihare Pilajja Me Kimbruve Purushottama Yuvatinam yata yuni yunam cha yuvatau yata mano piramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvayi Bhumau skalita paranam pumir eva valambanam tvayi jata paranam tvameva sharanam prabho Govinda Ballabe Radhe Prate Tvam Hamsada Twadiyam Iti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadi She Karunamrita Mahani Kripayani Chapadabja Dasyam Mayam Pradiyatam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing with our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on the 7th canto, first chapter, The Supreme Lord is Equal to Everyone, taking up at text number 8, where we left off yesterday. When the quality of goodness is prominent, the sages and demigods flourish with the help of that quality, with which they are infused and surcharged by the Supreme Lord. Similarly, when the mode of passion is prominent, the demons flourish, and when ignorance is prominent, the yakshas and rakshasas flourish. The Supreme Personality of God is present in everyone's heart, fostering the reactions of Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not partial to anyone. The conditioned soul is under the influence of the various modes of material nature, and behind material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one's victory and loss under the influence of Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun are reactions of these modes, not of the Supreme Lord's partiality. Srila Jiva Goswami in the Bhagavad Sandarbha has clearly said, Sattvadayo nashanti she yatra cha prakrita guna sa shrudha sarva shrudhebhya humam adya prasidatu Ladini sandani sambit tvayika sarva samstitau laratapa kari mishra tvayino gunavardite. According to this statement of the Bhagavad Sandarbha, the Supreme Lord, being always transcendental to the material qualities, is never affected by the influence of these qualities. The same characteristic is also present in the living being, but because he is conditioned by material nature, even the pleasure potency of the Lord is manifested in the conditioned soul as troublesome. In the material world, the pleasure enjoyed by the conditioned soul is followed by many painful conditions. For instance, we have seen in the two great wars which were conducted by the Rajaguna and Tamaguna, both parties were actually ruined. The German people declared war against the English to ruin them, but the result was that both parties were ruined. Although the Allies were apparently victorious, at least on paper, actually neither of them were victorious. Therefore, it should be concluded that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not partial to anyone. Everyone works under the influence of various modes of material nature, and when the various modes are prominent, the demigods or demons appear victorious under the influence of these modes. Everyone enjoys the fruits of his qualitative activities. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:11 through 13. Sarva dvareshu dehesmin prakasha vajayate jnanam yada yatad Tada vidyad vivriddham sattvamit yuta loba pravatiradamba karanam ashama spraha rajasyetani jayante vivride bharatarshava aprakasho pravatishcha pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivride kurunandana. The manifestations of the modes of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illumined by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develop. O Sonakura, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart, simply gives the results of the increase in the various qualities, but he is impartial. He supervises victory and loss, but he does not take part in them. The various modes of material nature do not work all at once. The interactions of these modes are exactly like seasonal changes. Sometimes there is an increment of Rajaguna, sometimes of Tamaguna, and sometimes of Sattvaguna. Generally, the demigods are surcharged with Sattvaguna, and therefore, when the demons and the demigods fight, the demigods are victorious because of the prominence of their Sattvaguna qualities. However, this is not the partiality of the Supreme Lord. Let's just stop and see if there's any reflections or questions on the first verse.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions or share your reflections.
Guru Maharaj, this is Manjula. This statement is a little confusing because we notice that the Lord comes to the aid of the demigods whenever they are in trouble, right? They go to Shvetadvip, they ask Brahma, and they pray to the Lord for help, and he says, "I'm coming. I know the situation's not right, and I will come to help you." But then it states here that these changes are natural, like season, and we shouldn't get perturbed with them because sometimes goodness is ahead, sometimes the bad people are ahead, and that's the way the modes change. They seem to contradict each other.
So what's your question?
Why do they contradict each other? The fact that
Why does what contradict each other?
that Krishna will come to help when when Tamaguna is in charge.
Well, you might notice that when Krishna comes to help, oftentimes he tells, for instance, when he meets with the demigods, when they request his help, and he says, "Oh, now's not a time that I can really do much for you. You have to make an armistice with the demons," because he said the modes are not in your favor right now. So, and you look at the demons, actually, they don't really like Krishna's help. For instance, when the Battle of Kurukshetra was shaping up, and there was a question of who wanted Krishna and who wanted Krishna's armies. And Duryodhana chose Krishna's armies because he didn't have any faith in Krishna. He thought better to have mighty force of the armies. Surely that will win out over Krishna. And when the demons were churning the milk ocean, they were a little suspicious of Krishna and Vishnu and the demigods. When they first started to churn the ocean, the demigods and demons were holding the demigods were holding the head of Vasuki, and the demons were on the tail. And they said, "Hey, wait a minute, why should we hold the tail? Because we're great heroes and great learned personalities." So then Vishnu just went right to the tail and everyone followed him. Because the demigods and the saintly people, they follow Krishna. Whatever he does, and the demons, they come up with their own ideas. So Krishna says, "Ye yatamam prapadyante tamstatayava bhajamyaham mamavartmanavartante manushya partha sarvasha." As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Samoham savabhuteshu nami dveshostina priya. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. I'm equal to everyone, but if somebody surrenders unto me, worships me, then they're within me and I'm within them. So it's the lacking of the demons that they don't turn to Krishna because they have an aversion to them. They think they're smarter than God. So they don't take his help, but he's there equally for everyone. You'll see that when a demon does surrender, for instance, Bibhishana, he was with the side of the demons, but his heart was different. So he went to Ramachandra and he said, I surrender. A few people said, don't let him. But Ram said, if anybody surrenders to me, I accept him. Does that help?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, very much. So,
Okay.
So I have also one realization, Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I like the point which Jiva Goswami mentions in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, how the Lord, Supreme Lord, is transcendental. Because whenever we declare in any war, in India also we know there are people on religious ground, they fight sometimes. They said, God is my side. Because it is, we declare ourselves, God is our side, but God is really equal to both the parties. So it is just the matter they are interacting or fighting based on the gunas, which is Rajaguna or Tamaguna. So, but God is always transcendental. That is the thing we should note.
Thank you, Bali Prabhu. That's very helpful. Sri Madhava Mahotsava said, it seems that one person cultivates pure passion and another pure goodness. Goodness will always be victorious. Sure, but you'll notice that sometimes the demons are victorious because passion is prominent at a particular time, and other times goodness is prominent. That's why at certain times Vishnu tells the demigods that you'll have to wait till the time is opportune here in the material world, because now the demons have the advantage. Another reflection or question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Where are you?
From Argentina.
Jai, Haribol. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you also. Thank you for the lecture. Yeah, in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada said about that in the war, both lose. Also, he gave the example of the Germany and the British. So when the war is happened, everybody lose.
Yeah, like George Harrison sang in that song, Sue Me, Sue You Blues. He said, let's get together. We'll all get together and have a bad time. It's in his lyric. So, when it's in the mode of passion, the result is always the same. There's this breaking down at the end. At the beginning, it seems fortuitous, but then something grinds down everything that you were trying to do. And there's a way that if somebody's doing a duty and it becomes troublesome and they say, I quit out of the mode of passion, then you don't get the result that you were looking for. So really, this chapter is shaping up, and we'll give more and more evidence here. Prabhupada, first of all, Shukadeva Goswami is giving the evidence. Prabhupada's then piling it on more and more evidence to prove that we are self-determining. That is, it's our prerogative as conscious living beings. We're not dead stones, but we're agents. We can change, and we can improve ourselves by applying the principles of Shastra so that we come to the mode of goodness. Most people don't know this because they're under the modes of passion and ignorance, and it's hard for them to understand the principle. That's why it's important to propagate goodness and also give transcendental knowledge so people can develop discrimination and understand it. Yeah, I just reading this morning in the Yoga Sutras, and it's remarkable how edifying cultivation of the sattvic principles is. For instance, maybe I'll just read you a couple lines from Patanjali's work here, so you'll be shocked and amazed. Do you want to be shocked and amazed? Anybody that doesn't, you can just put yourself, just mute me for a minute here. And then I'll let you know when you come back on if you don't want to be too shaken up. So here he's talking about the yamas by which you have to cultivate this sattvaguna. So first one is nonviolence. In the presence of one who is established in nonviolence, enmity is abandoned. When one is established in truthfulness, one ensures the fruit of action, ensures the fruit of actions of others. When one is established in refrainment from stealing, all jewels manifest. These are sutras, so I'll just say a couple of things about them. Upon the establishment of celibacy, power is attained. When refrainment from covetousness becomes firmly established, knowledge of the ways and wherefores of births manifests. So he, Patanjali, Vyas, giving his commentary on this, describes how for each one of these yamas in which one becomes an agent of change and self-disciplines and develops these particular sattvic habits, that there's a fruit. For instance, covetousness means that I want what other people have. I want to take it from them. And this body, he points out, is actually somebody else's. And if I want to enjoy it myself, this is my body, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to enjoy it, I'll destroy it if I want. This coveting somebody else's property. When one gives up all sense of covetousness, then he says the mind becomes so still and clear, just like on a pond that's clear and still, you can see the pebbles at the bottom very clearly. And he says, so a person that's developed that kind of stillness of mind is able to see his or her previous lifetimes very clearly, what I did, what brought me to this position, and so forth. And in the one previous to that, he says, when one is established in refrainment from stealing, all jewels manifest. So different acharyas have different comments on that, but it says, if you completely give up the desire to steal and you don't steal, completely refrain, then there's a way in which all kinds of wealth starts getting attracted to you for various reasons. So my point is that when we develop sattva-gun, we attract all good things. When we develop rajagun, then we run, and end up hitting a wall. And when we go into tamagun, it's like we're smashed down and we can't move. We're just at the bottom of the barrel. It's very difficult. So it's up to us, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Urdhvam gachanti sattvasta madhyam tishtanti madhava jaganya guna vrittista ado gachanti tamasa. So he's describing what happens when you're in the different modes, when you cultivate these different modes. If you're in sattva, you get lifted up. If you stay in rajas and cultivate that, you'll stay in the middle level. And we're in the middle level here on the planet right now, and it's not so pleasant, I must say. And then if you cultivate the abominable mode of ignorance, you get dragged down into hell. Asurya namate loka antena tamasavrita tamste pritya vigachanti yeke chatma hanojana. You get to go live with the other soul killers somewhere when you do that. Let's see, this is from Radhakripa Prabhu. Oh, Manjula Kanta also commented, the body is actually someone else's. What does that actually mean? Well, where'd you get it, by the way? Did you pay for it or anything? Did you sign a contract? It's not yours. If it was yours, you get to keep it, but you got to give it back anytime. It's like a rent-a-car. You say, hey, it's my cool car, I'm driving around, and then he's like, your friends are, ha, 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 that's very funny, you got to give it back tomorrow. So the body's like that, it's not ours.
I like that. If it's yours, you get to keep it. That's
Yeah,
nice,
it's yours. Whatever is actually quintessentially ours, we get to keep, right? So Radhakripa Prabhu says, it seems no mode of nature is permanent, so what should one try to do? Even if we try, will we not still be influenced by other modes of material nature in our efforts? Yes, if you stay within just the regular mode of goodness, then eventually you'll be influenced by rajas or tamas, because as Krishna says in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the modes are always churning. So you may be cruising in the mode of goodness, and then there'll be an upsurge in rajas or tamas that will come and drag you down. So what should you do? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahmapuyaya kalpate. That is, stay consistently engaged in bhakti. because by that, you'll rise above the modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman, and that's where you want to be. And finally, we have, so what is really ours? It is our piety and service. Yeah, our eternal constitutional position is that we're servants. And Barsha, does that mean that actually nothing belongs to us, but we also belong to Krishna? That's right. That's what Atma Nivedana means, Barsha. Atma Nivedana means the realization that I don't own anything. Everything belongs to Krishna. Even myself doesn't belong to me. That belongs to Krishna too. I give my very self, Krishna, that's yours. And when we do that, then there's complete satisfaction because that's our constitutional position. Shraddha, anything on Facebook?
I know Facebook is quiet today, Maharaj, and so is YouTube, but we have a reflection by Srivatsa on chat, on the Zoom chat.
Oh, we do, eh? Oh, okay, good. Srivata Prabhu says, it seems as if every living entity has a choice of which mode of material nature they want to situate themselves through association and whether or not they want to surrender to the Lord. However, at the same time, a perfect balance is still maintained by the Supreme Lord, while all the living entities also have their own minute independence. How does Krishna do it? To an extent, it seems like it's in Krishna's control, but out of his control at the same time. Because Krishna has the control of everything, but jivas have their independence. It also seems like the balance changes between yugas. How does the Lord maintain control while also giving jivas freedom? Well, this is the $64,000 question, and Krishna gives freedom to the living entity because if the freedom isn't there, then how will there be love? And that's the ultimate goal. And Krishna's ultimate goal of expanding himself into living entities is to exchange love with them. So if they don't have a free choice, then pure love isn't available. So he gives free choice to the living entity, which freedom means, as Gandhi once said, freedom means the freedom to make the wrong decision. And so if we misuse the independence, that's part of our independence as well. And Krishna maintains that balance so that that impetus can always be there to come back to him. And by the way, when somebody's in lower modes of nature, it is very difficult for them to make decisions because they don't have the light of sattva in order to see what's the right thing. They don't have discrimination. That's why it's important to propagate Krishna consciousness, because as many of you have noticed, when you're teaching Krishna consciousness to somebody, they can wake up. They get some prasadam, they hear the holy names, they get association, they hear the philosophy, and then suddenly they change their ways because they realize that they have a choice. And Krishna helps them from within the heart. Okay, so now I'm going to read a couple more verses. This is number 9. The all-pervading personality of Godhead exists within the heart of every living being, and an expert thinking can perceive how he is present there to a large or small extent, just as one can understand the supply of fire and wood, the water in a water pot, or the sky within a pot. One can understand whether a living entity is a demon or a demigod by understanding that living entity's devotional performances. A thoughtful man can understand how much a person is favored by the Supreme Lord by seeing his actions. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 10:41, the Lord says, Yad yad vibhudimat sattvam srimad urjitam evava tat tadeva vagacha twang mama tim shom shasam bhavam. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. We have the practical experience of seeing that one person is able to do very wonderful things, whereas another cannot do those same things and cannot even do things that require only a little common sense. Therefore, how much a devotee has been favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be tested by the activities the devotee has performed. In Bhagavad Gita 10:10, the Lord says, Tesham satata yuktanam vachatam priti purvakam danami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayandite. To those who are constantly devoted and who worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is very practical. A teacher instructs the student if the student is capable of taking more and more instructions. Otherwise, in spite of being instructed by the teacher, the student cannot make strides in his understanding. This has nothing to do with partiality. When Krishna says, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, dadami buddhi yogam tam, this indicates that Krishna is prepared to give bhakti yoga to everyone, but one must be capable of receiving it. That is the secret. Thus, when a person exhibits wonderful devotional activities, a thoughtful man understands that Krishna has been more favorable to this devotee. This is not difficult to understand, but envious persons do not accept that Krishna has bestowed his favor upon a particular devotee in accordance with his advanced position. Such foolish persons become envious and try to minimize an advanced devotee's activities. That is not Vaishnavism. A Vaishnava should appreciate the service rendered to the Lord by other Vaishnavas. Therefore, Vaishnava is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as Nirmatsara. Vaishnavas are never envious of other Vaishnavas or of anyone else, and therefore they are called Nirmatsaranam Satam. As Bhagavad Gita informs us, one can understand how one is saturated with Sattvagun, Rajagun, or Tamagun. In the examples given herewith, fire represents the mode of goodness. One can understand the constitution of a container for wood, petrol, or other inflammable substances by the quantity of the fire. Similarly, water represents Rajagun, the mode of passion. A small skin and the vast Atlantic Ocean both contain water, and by seeing the quantity of water in a container, one can understand the size of the container. The sky represents the mode of ignorance. The sky is present in a small earthen pot and also in outer space. Thus, by proper judgment, one can see who is a devata or demigod and who is an asura, yaksha or rakshasa, according to the quantities of sattvagun, rajagun, and tamagun. One cannot judge whether a person is a devata or an asura or a rakshasa by seeing him, but a sane man can understand this by the activities such a person performs. A general description is given in the Padma Purana. Vishnu bhakta smito daiva asurastad viparyaya. A devotee of Lord Vishnu is a demigod, whereas an asura or yaksha is just the opposite. An asura is not a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Instead, for his sense gratification, he is a devotee of the demigods, bhutas, pretas, and so on. Thus, one can judge who is a devata, who is a rakshasa, and who is an asura by how they conduct their activities. The word atmanam in this verse means paramatmanam. The Paramatma or Supersoul is situated in the core of everyone's heart, antataha. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 1861. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya shrirjanachishtati. The Ishvara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, gives directions to everyone in terms of one's capabilities in taking the instructions. Oh boy, am I going to read that one again? You could tell, right? Are you ready? Say yes. The Ishvara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, gives directions to everyone in terms of one's capabilities in taking the instructions. I read earlier in the Yoga Sutra about how if one is established in a truthfulness, then complete truthfulness, whatever that person says will manifest. And that said, therefore, saints, they'll give benedictions, and if they give a benediction to somebody, then it'll come true. And said some of the commentators went on to say that, but actually they're careful because they only give to people that deserve them, benedictions in that way. So there's this very important principle that we're talking about capability. Yeshan twantakatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvanva mohanir bhukta bhajanti mam dhridavrata. Krishna himself says in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that if somebody has become more qualified by being situated in sattva and is performing activities conducive to illuminating the consciousness, it's much easier for such a person to take to Krishna consciousness in a very determined way. And obviously, somebody is very qualified because of having gotten association with sadhus and so forth, and can take advantage of Krishna consciousness. Continuing. The instructions of Bhagavad Gita are open to everyone, but some people understand them properly, whereas others understand them so improperly that they cannot even believe in the existence of Krishna, although reading Krishna's book. Although the Gita says Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, indicating that Krishna spoke, they cannot understand Krishna. This is due to their misfortune or incapability, which is caused by Rajaguna and Tamaguna, the modes of passion and ignorance. It is because of these modes that they cannot even understand Krishna, whereas an advanced devotee like Arjuna understands him and glorifies him, saying, Param Brahma Param Tama Pavitram Paramam Pravan. You are the supreme Brahman, the supreme abode and purifier. Krishna is open to everyone, but one needs the capability to understand him. By external features, one cannot understand who is favored by Krishna and who is not. According to one's attitude, Krishna becomes one's direct advisor, or Krishna becomes unknown. This is not Krishna's partiality, it is his response to one's ability to understand him. According to one's receptiveness, whether one be a Devata, Asura, Yaksha, or Rakshasa, Krishna's quality is proportionately exhibited. This proportionate exhibition of Krishna's power is misunderstood by less intelligent men to be Krishna's partiality, but actually it is no such thing. Krishna is equal to everyone, and according to one's ability to receive the favor of Krishna, one advances in Krishna consciousness. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a practical example in this connection. In the sky, there are many luminaries. At night, even in darkness, the moon is extremely brilliant and can be directly perceived. The sun is also extremely brilliant. When covered by clouds, however, these luminaries are not distinctly visible. Similarly, the more one advances in sattva guna, the more his brilliance is exhibited by devotional service. But the more one is covered by rajaguna and tamaguna, the less visible his brilliance, for he is covered by these qualities. The visibility of one's qualities does not depend on the partiality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is due to the various coverings in different proportions. Thus, one can understand how far he has advanced in terms of sattvaguna and how much he is covered by rajaguna and tamaguna. Radhakri Prabhu would see that the sattva in the material world it can be contaminated. So when we talk about, oftentimes in the Shastra, when sattva is mentioned, the acharyas say we're talking about Shuddha sattva, which is a different platform. It's the sattva which is not tinged at all by rajas and tamas. And from that position, Shuddha sattva visheshatma, that or sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yad iyate tatra imam pavrita. One becomes uncovered, apavrita, when one comes to the Shuddha sattva, or the pure, unadulterated platform of sattva. Srivatsa, did that last paragraph answer your question more? Oh, look, more things came up. A lot of them. Okay, let's see. Here we have from Divyangi. To raise ourselves above the modes, we need to stay always in devotional service. Does it mean we always have to read and chant and take care of deities, for example? Or does it also mean that sometimes parents have to take care of kids and do many other things, and there's no time for reading or listening classes as much as we want? What in this way is our devotional service? What in this way in our devotional service? Thank you very much. Oh yeah, I mean, we can ask any of the parents on this call here about, having kids. There's a way in which, you have a duty to do for your kids, and maybe at some points, some periods in your life, it's hearing and chanting opportunities are more abundant, and at other times they're not. But as we continue into whatever capacity we can perform devotional service, that is the 9 direct processes, then all of our activities are transformed. In fact, as we're performing all kinds of worldly duties and performing devotional service at the same time, we get a special realization, because we have the wherewithal to see how the modes of material nature are working. And also, there's a way that we're tasting devotional service, and we may feel held back for some time by the circumstances, but in our heart, we're developing more and more eagerness to hear and chant. And then when we get the opportunity, we can take full advantage of it. There's a verse in the Sri Upanishad number 11 that says, Vidyam chayas tadvedo vayam saha avidyayam ratum tirtva vidyayam ratum ashnute. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So because our appearance in this world means we already have a material body and mind, there's no time at which they actually completely let up. Well, there are circumstances for the Jivan Mukta, but still the mind and body go on connecting to the material world one way or another. And there's impulses from the mind and even from previous samskars that can arise at any time. So one has to go on performing devotional service despite the fact that he or she may not be able to do as much at certain periods of life as they want. And by that process of continuing throughout a lifetime, through various stages of life, one comes to the Paramahamsa stage. Okay, let's see, what else? Tadiya Seva, Tasyaiva Hetu Prayateta Kovido. Thank you for that verse. Devavrata, I'm so glad to learn that everyone in LA is working very hard, and Krishna consciousness is so nice that you are aspiring for still more work. That is a sign of spiritual life. In the material world, we want to minimize our activities and take rest more, but in the spiritual world, there is no rest and there is no limit of activities. Krishna is unlimited, his service is unlimited, and the energy of his servants is unlimited. I'm so glad to learn that you are prepared to work even harder as a forward soldier to fight the Maya. May Krishna give you more and more strength. From Srila Prabhupada's letter to Tamal Krishna, Hawaii, 18th March, 1969. That was Devavrata Prabhu's reflection on 719. Here we have, this is, Dhanavari. Yes, I like the point that the body is not ours. We're renting a body for some time. I heard one song today. Hey, Jiva, why are you so proud? You are living in a rental house. You have to vacate soon. I realize that if I keep this in my mind, then my ego is down. Yeah. So it helps me to concentrate on bhakti easily. Thank you. You're quite welcome. And then Devavrata Prabhu said, how do we become fully receptive? Follow what Dhanavari said in the previous message, and you'll become more receptive. Bali to everyone, such a great purport. This is the beauty of Prabhupada. Haribo. Bali, you're on some, you're past the Viraja River as usual, but we only see it when we see you online. Yogesh, Hare Krishna, glory to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Yogesh. Srivatsa agreed. He said, yes, it helped. What should be done to improve the capability and intelligence to understand Krishna and come out of the modes of ignorance and passion? Well, one is to follow the 4 regulative principles. When you do that, it helps you to purify your mind and senses. So there's several activities that are particularly recommended for coming to the Sattva Guna. One is japa. Japa is extremely important. The next one is swadhyaya, which means, it means self-examination, but it's come to mean over many years. The acharyas count it in the category of reading count reading Shastra and hearing Shastra to be a swadhyaya, because the Shastra tells you who you are. And it's a vital practice to perform every single day. And another one of the practices is to work for Krishna, to do some kind of service so that you can engage your senses in Krishna's service. So these are listed as 3 ways through which you can develop. And then you have to develop your willpower. It's important for yogis to, bhakti yogis or any kind of yogi, to develop some spiritual strength. And so we have to practice controlling the senses. So that takes a lot of work, because the senses are like serpents and they can bite at any time. So we have to train them. And also, if we go on with the practices I mentioned, then the snakes of the senses become like a serpent without any fangs. So even if they bite, they jump out at us. They don't affect us like they normally would. So practice. The times when we can control the mind, control the senses, and engage them rather in Krishna's service. In the Yoga Sutras, again, there's this point in controlling the mind, counter thoughts. So when a thought comes out of nowhere about some kind of sense gratification or a hateful thought, envious thought about someone else, then Vyasadeva says in his commentary to the sutra that you should counter that thought by another thought. That means you should think of something else in relation to that. So for instance, if the tongue wants to taste something forbidden, then you just think of eating sandesh instead. If you want to say something negative about somebody, then instead change that thought, say something positive, because he said then it leaves an impression, a samskar. And he said if you do this deliberately, it starts to cover over those negative thoughts and so forth. But the most powerful point is to develop a higher taste by actually breaking through the lower modes by Ishvara Pranidhan. This is the ultimate success that Patanjali says. I'm just continuing with what he says. And all the acharyas who comment and say Ishvara Pranidhan means to offer yourself in submission to God. In fact, if you can't do anything else, do that. Because if you just get down on your knees and pray and offer yourself to God, or even if you're not demonstrative, if you're calling out in your heart constantly, please help me, I need you, and please show and let me surrender to you. Even though I'm fallen, I can't do it, I can't control my sense, I can't do anything. But if you do Ishvara Pranidhan, then God, he's so merciful, he'll help you. So that's the topmost recommendation. It actually helps you to shortcut all the other processes. But it helps if you try to help yourself also. Okay, there was a couple more.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, Maharaj, you were talking about how to be in goodness. And today we were reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 Canto, 48, chapter, text 31. And it talks about that the rivers and the holy places can purify ourselves, but takes time to do that. But when we see a pure devotee, a pure person, that is like in a second, like in the moment.
Yes, that's true. It's a really good point. And actually, I just read a similar point in the Yoga Sutras today, where it's mentioned that when somebody is illuminated by spiritual practice, then they, just by their presence, they affect others. And this is also in the Nectar of Devotion, that a pure Vaishnava then has what's like moon rays that come from his or her heart, and it affects others. So all influences are subtle ultimately. And the subtlety of somebody's purity actually shines forth. And it's something that comes up in many places in the Bhagavatam. For instance, Prabhupada talks about how the saffron mercy particles, when a devotee speaks, because the tone is saturated with this love for Krishna. Poetically, it says it gets mixed with saffron particles from the Lord's lotus feet. So he said, when you hear that sound vibration, you at once wake up. You wake up to spiritual life. And many devotees have had this experience when they've met an advanced devotee and they suddenly just feel convinced. It overrides all their other thoughts, like, you know, I need to stay in the material world a little longer, then I'll take to devotional service or whatever. And then they just say, oh, forget it, I'm going to do it now. And it's the subtle influence that comes from a pure person. So our movement really is based on purity. And our happiness in life is based on our purity and our spiritual integrity, because the more we actually attain the position of sincerely practicing devotional service, controlling the senses and so forth, then the more we'll directly experience the happiness of Krishna consciousness, not something theoretical, but it's something that we're seeing, feeling, tasting for ourselves. And then when we speak about it, it has more relevance to others, not just theoretical. Vaishnava mukund giranam putam harikatamritam. This is this verse from the Shastra says that if somebody is a non-Vaishnava and speaks, then there's a way in which the sound vibration, even if it's Bhagavad, it acts like poison. Sarpochishta yatapaya, it's like a milk touched by the lips of the serpent, and the opposite is true as well. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, there was a couple more here. Oh, that's Srivas. I recognize that squeak from the fire alarm. Okay, Mukaravinda Prabhu said, thank you for explaining difference between sattva and shuddha sattva. Did Patanjali talks in Yoga Sutras about sattva and shuddha sattva? Also, just curious to know if Vaishnava Acharyas have given commentary. Yeah, plenty of Vaishnava commentary. In fact, Advaita Prabhu is a great scholar, and he's a Hare Krishna devotee who wrote this book. Just the section I read early this morning, he giving abundant evidence about how Patanjali himself is a Vaishnava. And, you know, Patanjali tried not to reveal too much. He tried to keep this book very neutral because it's actually a practical book. It's not very philosophical or theological, although he does come out and say, by worshiping Ishvara and chanting his name, which he said Om, then that's the shortcut. And yes, there's a lot of detailed explanation of sattva and shuddha sattva. In fact, in very psychological terms and in technical terms, the way in which the buddhi, which is the closest thing to the purusha or the living entity, when it comes to the point of pure sattva, then it no longer acts like a subtle material element, that the subtle material element that it is, but it becomes spiritualized. And he gives the same example that Prabhupada gives repeatedly about how if you put an iron rod in fire, then it becomes fire-like. So similarly, when you spiritualize your buddhi, then it also becomes spiritualized as well. And that's when you come to this level of shuddha sattva. Okay, what am I doing here? We're reading a few more. We have, yes? What do we have? Facebook?
Yeah, a few comments on Facebook here.
Let's bring in our friends and colleagues from Facebook.
Okay, so we'll start with Divyanga Prabhu. His was the first, and he's happy of the Shravanadi gel, and I really need it, and it seems like I'm standing in the jaws of death.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you, Div.
Leela Nandi Mataji says that our false ego is blown away by the true understanding that this body does not belong to us, but belongs to Lord Krishna. No wonder it never listens to us.
Yeah. Well, it's a great relief, actually. This morning I read in a commentary about how Vyasadeva says, the happiness of giving up all material desire is greater than any happiness you could ever get in the material world since time immemorial, including any material riches, going to the topmost heavenly planets. Just the one thing of actually abandoning one's attachment to the idea that I'm going to enjoy the material world, he said just that preliminary stage imparts a happiness that's so abundant you can't compare it to anything else. And obviously we know that, Rupa Goswami then says in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti Samrita Sindhu, that the various qualities of happiness, and that is just relief from the oppression, Bharam Udva Hato Vimudhan, of the mudhas, of keeping material desires and maintaining them. And when you're free from that, there's this sense of huge relief. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nashochini, just a joyfulness, which is a natural thing. But that's just preliminary, because he says Brahman happiness multiplied millions and millions of times. Then you get the happiness of devotional service, which is makes the Brahman happiness look like just a little drop compared to the ocean. And something else, Shraddha?
Yes, Maharaj, a couple more. There is Jiyara Narsingha Prabhu from Boise.
Jai.
And he's about the equality, that verse. He's saying that example of rain is applicable in this connection. Rain falls everywhere equally, but only some part of that land receives it properly, while other part, like stones, does not. Krishna's direction becomes clearer to those who have the capacity to receive it.
That's a really nice point. Thanks for reiterating that. And that goes to our job as sadhakas. Get yourself ready. Prepare yourself to receive more mercy. Find out the ways in which to put yourself in a position so that you can be a receptacle for Krishna's mercy. And the last one, Shraddha?
So there's a question there. Can I bring up a question?
Yes.
So this is from Shingar Rasa Mataji. And she's saying that on the point of countering our thoughts, would it not lead to repressing our feelings, which may later on come out in a more malignant way?
Well, here's one of the principles that comes in that section that can be helpful. It said when thoughts that could be detrimental come up, we should analyze them carefully. Don't just react to them and grab onto them and say yes, no. But part of what this section on giving counter thoughts means is to follow up in your mind what the fruit of that is. For instance, if one is attached to killing an animal and eating it, he says, then consider the fact that the Shastra says that you'll have to suffer in hell for thousands of years for killing one animal. So then decide, do I want to kill the animal? If a person lusts, a man lusts after a woman, then he said, okay, consider what the result of that is going to be. In fact, there was a TV commercial in Australia where this man is riding his horse and he comes to a ravine and he hears screaming, and there's this beautiful maiden and she's holding on to a branch over a cliff. And then it goes through his mind, like saving her, and then he brings her out, and then they get married and they move in, and then the mother-in-law moves in, and then the baby's crying and they run out of money and nothing works. And then he just rides away. I'm not recommending that, but I'm just saying that this is what he says is discrimination and counter thought. And you don't have to accept your thoughts wholesale. And you can actually consider more. This is called vivek. When they come to you, you don't have to accept envy. You don't have to accept all these things. It's not repression, but it's processing. Repression is another thing when you just say, I'm not going to think about it. But if you process it and think, well, like, what's the other side of this? Like if you think of somebody and say, I really hate that person, and think, well, what do I really hate about them? I do a lot of the same things myself. Maybe it's, what I see in them that's reflective of me that I hate. You can consider it. So that's not repression, but that's actually a discrimination. So a yogi should have a discriminating mind to consider what's really going on around me. And that will be helpful in moving through the world without overreacting to the mind's most of the time, often odd suggestions. And now we just have a couple minutes left. So we'd like to have a little kirtan. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtatari Shakarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti. Everybody, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Rama Hare
Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
So then he knows what to play.
I did.
Rama
He doesn't want it.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody, Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Govinda Jaya
No, do it this way. You might get on camera.
Krishna Hare Rama
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare
Ryan, go.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Guru Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Guru Hari Hari Bol Yeah Hari Hari Bol
Haribo.
Jai. Jai.
Hari Haribo.
Hari Bol Guru Hari Bol
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Radhika Saraswati Shima Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Radhika Charja Stotra Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai. Jai.
Jai Neat Lila Pravishta Paramahamsa Babaji Shishila Gaur Kishore Das Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Neat Lila Pravishta Shishila Sakchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Neat Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shishila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Shishila Baladev Vidya Bhushan Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Shri Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Chai ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Shri Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Mahashaya ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunashi Jeev Gopal Bhatt Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Swarup Damodar Shri Roy Ramanandani Gaura Shakta Varga ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Shri Antar Deep Mayapur Simanta Deep Godruma Deep Madhya Deep Kola Deep Ritu Deep Jana Deep Moda Druma Deep Rudra Deep Patma Kashinava Deep Dham ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Dwada Shavanatmaka Shri Vrajamandala ki jai. Dwada Shupavana ki jai. Shri Shamakunda Radhakunda Jamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhaji ki jai. Jai Bhakti Vignama Nashana Shina Shingadev ki jai. Bhakta Pravada Shri Palad Maharaj ki jai. Shri Vraja Mandala Shri Goda Mandala Shri Kshetra Mandala ki jai. Chari Vaishnav Sampradaya ki jai. Chari Vaishnav Acharya ki jai. Shri Hari Ram Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini ki jai. Uttara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. Namaste Narasimhaya. Laladadadayine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingho. Toto Yimitato Nishingha.
Yato yamitato nashinga.
Hira Nishingo Ridaye Nishingo. Namaning Sharanam Prapadye.
Narasinghamadin Sharanam.
Avakara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shingam. Lalitayeranakashi Putaru Bingam. Kesha Padrita Narahari Rupa Jagatisha Hare. Jaya Jagatisha Hare. Jagatisha Hare. Ayeranakushi Putaru Bingam. Kesha Jagatisha Hare. Jagatisha Hare. Jagatisha Hare. Jaya Nishingate, 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 Jaya Nishingate, Jaya Nishingate, Jaya Nishingate, Jaya Nishingate, Jaya Nishingate. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And there are only two rules ultimately. Always remember Krishna and never forget. So practice a lot. Because, we have a great boon. Not only did we get a human life, but we also got lined up with the great acharyas who have poured their mercy down on us. So don't lament about anything. Just move forward with your whatever you have to do to keep body and soul together. That'll come and go as is necessary. Do your level best, but put as much effort as possible into hearing about Krishna, chanting about him, and showing mercy to others by giving them the opportunity to hear about Krishna. Does that sound okay? Is it doable? Is that doable?
Yes.
Can all do that?
Yes.
Let's come out on top. We won't waste this this time, this crisis, but we'll push forward and we'll spring out of it like we were shot from cannons. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, and thank you, Shraddha, for your diligence and keeping the framework and everything moving so nicely. We really appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Vaisesika Prabhu ki. Vaisesika.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.